All right. Excited about this one. 2005 Dehong from Yunnan sourcing. This one is a tea brick, which who knows if the packaging or pressing has anything to do with the flavor, but I'm excited because look at that cold brew. See, all of the color, all of the tea stays down here at the bottom. There's none up here. And this is very reminiscent of the Pu-erh that I tasted years ago that I'm trying to find, recreate something, you know. So anyway, let's mix this up. And I don't want to agitate it too much, but and I really like to know too why that happens. With some teas, it tends to infuse the entire bottle, and then with others, the tea and the liquor kind of stay at the bottom. I imagine that probably has something to do with the pressing. Maybe if it's pressed really tight, maybe that happens versus more loose. I don't know. But anyway, this one smells smoky. Website says it's from the west side of Mangshi, which is in Dehong. Again, supposedly these are all just like wild tea trees growing in the area. This one does seem to have a bit more information about the area than most. As you can see, it's very tightly compressed. I had to use a knife to take off the layers. Yeah, smoky, typical raw Pu-erh. Sweetness, never quite sure how to say that. Look at that color. Man, that is bold and beautiful. That is definitely apple juice moving to apple cider. That is beautiful. And I'm sure that has everything to do with that the smokiness on that thing. Very clean cold brew here. There is a bit of activity in the glass though. Not a whole lot. Okay, so a little too smoky. Also, too, I want to say that this is a 25-gram sample, and I did my best to weigh it out using a digital scale to try to get a decent, but this is too much material in this cold brew for sure. With that being said, though, holding everything else the same because I've sampled everything the exact same way. This one is a bit smokier than what I like. Tiny bit of bitterness on the underside of my tongue, which I really like. That's what I'm really looking for too. But yeah, just a bit too smoky for me. All right, so I'm gonna brew up this whole thing here, and I'm sure it's going to take me through many infusions. I'm going to hit it with hot water just to wash it a bit and also wake up the leaves. You can see that floating around in that water. Gonna try to rinse this really good. Especially being that it's what, almost 15, 17 years old. I figure boiling water will help to clean and sanitize it. So, not much different than the dry leaf. And I'm sure that has a lot to do with the fact that it's still completely solid. It's going to take quite a bit to get this cake apart. But yeah, just no storage smell, which, you know, is awesome, right? But but nothing out of the ordinary yet. Just like I said, typical aged Pu-erh sweetness, which is sort of green, but dark caramel type of tones. Not sugar sweet or anything. Definitely not picking out any fruits or any flowers or anything like that. Just, but really smoky, which I do like some smokiness. Like I said, this one for me is a bit too smoky on the cold brew. Let's see what we get on this hot brew. And I let this steep for quite some time, so hopefully I didn't overbrew it. And honestly, that typical raw Pu-erh smell, it's like old leaves, but good old leaves, not like funky, musty old leaves. Just old leaves, not quite a forest floor type of deal going on. More green than that, more fresh, as far as like fresh green grass than that, but definitely not fresh green grass either. All right, so take a look again. Look at that clean brew. My goodness. Again, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that it's compressed so tightly. A little bit of activity in the glass, not a lot. Let's see what we get. I'm gonna have to let this cool down a bit. Really interested to see what more steeps brings out of this. It can definitely stand to be steeped for longer. And that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna just steep this as long as my patience can stand it. And I'm gonna agitate the water a bit to see if I can break up this cake a bit more. You can see it's starting to come apart just a bit. And I'm going to really kind of look out for the color. Color has already changed, but I want to get it much darker. It'll be really nice if this is one of those teas that, the actual flavor changes as the leaves open up. I don't know if that'll be the case, but definitely looking forward to it. Still pretty solid. And my patience has just about run out. Because it's so smoky, I'm afraid that you can overbrew this thing. Let's see what happens here. And that is righteous. So the cake is still pretty solid, but has definitely swollen some. And so it's taken on quite a bit of water. The aroma is starting to change a little bit. Starting to smell a little bit of storage. It smells like an empty concrete room. Yeah. All right. So again, even after agitating, still fairly clean. You can see it starts getting cloudy. And so that just goes back to the fact that before, like I said, there was a little bit of activity. But still, you can almost see through it. So really clean brew. And this one looks dark too. That's definitely apple cider, if not more. I hope I didn't overbrew it. Let's see what we get. Okay, so here's the thing. This tea can be overbrewed. However, I don't think I've done it. But what I have done for sure is brought out way more of that smokiness. Um, but now, though, the smokiness has a character. It's not just smokiness. It's a type of smoke. I'm getting some ash. You know, I'm from Texas, and so barbecue is smoked meat, and you can tell the difference between hickory wood, mesquite wood, pecan wood. There's a difference. I don't know what was used to smoke this tea, but whatever it was distinct, very distinct. I mean, you can taste it. There's no question, and I think this is probably the first time that I've actually tasted a distinct character in the smokiness of a Pu-erh. You know, usually smoky Pu-erhs is just smoky. You know, tastes like smoke. This one has a distinct flavor and character of its own. So someone who really enjoys, teas like Lap Sing Sheng or those really smoky teas will really like this one because it is righteously smoky, but it has a distinct smoky flavor, which I actually like. Um, just not what I'm really looking for in my aged Pu-erh. Definitely want something more green. I don't mind a little bit of smoke, but honestly, I'm okay with no smoke at all, and something with a little bit of bite, a little bit of bitterness that hits me under the tongue. This one is interesting though. I do like it. I do like it. I mean, like I said, it's good and smoky, and it's a distinct smoke flavor. Okay, so I'm excited. Here's what I'm gonna do. So we know that longer steep times brings out more of the smoke. So now we're gonna play around with water temperature, and I'm worried that if I don't steep it long enough at cooler temperatures, that it's gonna be a weak brew and I won't get anything out of it. Um, but I kind of want to do that test to see if there's any nuances um, in flavor. You know, I can already sort of imagine what cooler temp and a long steep time is going to be, but I don't know. Decisions, decisions, decisions. So I'm going to get the water to 130 Fahrenheit. I'm kind of curious to see what that is in Celsius. I think it's about 50. Let's see. Yeah, 55 Celsius, maybe. Something like that. Let's get a bit hotter. Which is perfect, by the way. I do like Celsius when measuring water temperature just because it makes so much more sense. You know, 0 freezing, 100 boiling, 50 is right in between. All right, there we go. So 131. Let's see what Celsius is. Celsius is 55. Yeah. So, that means 50 Celsius would have been something like what, 125 Fahrenheit, something like that. But for outside weather, Fahrenheit is better. You can talk about the weather in increments of 5 degrees. I don't know how people do it in Celsius. I've asked, and I'm like, there's such a huge difference between, you know, 15 and 18. It's like, do you really in your mind like think about that when you go outside? Like, oh, it feels 13 today. Like, hmm. I like the 5 minute increments that Fahrenheit gives you. Celsius, I think maybe you'd have to do it in 2-degree increments, maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna put a timer on this thing. Let's see what we get to. So I'm gonna go for cooler temperatures. I'm gonna go for a full minute, and if that's too much, then I can bring it back to a shorter steep time. And the brick is still pretty solid. You can see it's definitely starting to come apart. You can see the leaves down at the bottom. Definitely some smaller leaves. That kind of, makes sense that they'll kind of come off first. The other thing is with these samples, they already been broken apart to put in a bag for you to sample anyway. I imagine with my own tea brick, I'll be able to break it apart with more precision, and maybe I'll have less little leaves floating around. All right, so yeah, it's starting to come apart, but man, it is still solid. This is gonna be an all-night thing. Still solid. Yep, same aroma. Definitely smells some storage in there, but like really clean storage. I mean, like I said, it does. It smells like an empty concrete room. It's really where you want your tea, right? So look at that. Still kind of cloudy, but not opaque. Still fairly clean brew. So definitely some activity. Almost no leaves in the bottom of the glass. And, compared to all the other teas I've had so far, I mean, that's a big deal. So 1 minute was good. So the water temperature is actually what, and it's hard to say too because I've already gone through 2 infusions, and so I already have that smoky flavor in my mouth. But so the smokiness is subdued, but it's still there. It's just hard for me to tell how much of the smokiness is in this infusion versus how much of the smokiness is left over in my mouth, because even now, like, I taste smoke, I can't get rid of it. Let's see what happens if I drink a little bit of water. This thing is so smoky that even after swallowing water, I still taste smoke. So yeah, smokiness is subdued, but there's really nothing else there. I mean, maybe I'm getting more of the green Pu-erh notes with cooler temps instead of just smoke, but there's really nothing much else there. Overall, I like this tea. I'm gonna go ahead and say definitely higher temperatures, long steep times. You can probably overbrew it. I don't want to take that chance, honestly. And like I said, it's very smoky, but there's a distinct smoky character that is really interesting. I really like. So what I'm going to say is, for someone who likes smoky teas, this one is bomb, right? For someone that's brand new to tea, personally, I will recommend this tea only to shock and surprise them, because if they, if they're not used to drinking loose leaf tea or Pu-erh, it's like, they'll be like, what? It's kind of smoky. So if someone's like whiskey, then they'll like this. And like I said, it's a very distinct smoky flavor. The other thing is, if they try to go out on their own and then try to remake this tea session, ain't gonna happen, because this is a very distinct smoky flavor that they're only gonna be able to get from you, right? And then, like I said, someone, a tea nerd, I think will appreciate the distinct smoky character that this tea has. So again, Dehong, I'm really happy with it. The area is kind of my spot, and thankfully this one has a bit more information about where it was produced and everything. I don't know if that will have, I don't know if that'll have a lot of, I don't know if that has a lot to do with the flavor, or maybe the processing. I don't know. Maybe the fact that it was pressed into a brick, because that area of Dehong presses bricks. I don't know. The description online says that it's completely lacking the very bitter character that the younger ones have. Yeah, I agree. Okay. It also says something about vanilla notes. I didn't get any vanilla. Even on the, even with the, now here's the thing. If I had tasted this with cooler water temps first, then maybe I pick up some vanilla. But because my mouth is it's been so inundated with this smoke that it's just hard to pick up. So I'm gonna enjoy drinking through this. The cold brew, man, like I said, it's really smoky. That has a lot to do with the fact that I use so much material here, honestly. But I'm gonna definitely enjoy going through this hot brew. What's up, Dennis? I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I don't know if it's Dennis or Denise or Denise, whatever, but what's up, man?